Well, new tonight at 10, a program that helps cover daycare costs in Wisconsin is about to run out of money. Wisconsin lawmakers approved the temporary funding last year after a federal pandemic-era program to help child care centers ended. Well, now the state program is 1 week away from ending, and daycare providers say they may have to raise rates.
Of my subsidy, parents can't afford to pay their co-payments, so I don't know exactly what it may look like. I hope that we get some type of relief, that they can continue to program and help us with more funding.
Democrats tried unsuccessfully to extend the program in the last legislative session. Republicans say the program was always intended just to be temporary.